Hello, and welcome to Hero Infinite. This special video will sit at the start of the Hero Infinite playlist, as well as all of the Hero playlists. What does that mean? Let me explain. Hero Infinite is a series of videos. It is sort of a podcast based on the tabletop campaign of me and my friends set in the universe of Hero Infinite. A universe in which superheroes exist. It is done using my system, Heart of Action. The very basic rules of which can be found in the Discord server, which is going to be linked below. The system is one that I've been designing for a number of years, and the rule set that you will be seeing is not the full rules. Rather, it is the free, very bare bones rules, with the plans being to eventually release a number of improvement books, including the Hero Infinite book, which will have more detailed rules on how things like certain characters' powers work, character creation, and the like. What we are going to be doing right now is a very basic breakdown of some of the rules you will need to know if you are watching the series, in order to follow along. You can find all of this just by reading the rulebook. But some people aren't going to want to do that, so I'm going to give a quick breakdown. Additionally, I'll be going over a little bit more later on, in terms of what the following playlists are and best ways to view the series, because there are multiple ways that you can watch this series. I'm not going to go over every little nuance of the system, just enough that you can follow along. Heart of Action is a 5d10 based tabletop RPG. I'm not gonna fully explain what a tabletop RPG is and just hope you already know. If not, fucking god, there's so many examples out there that you can find. But how my system works is, whenever the player, or the hero, is trying to do an action, I will roll 5, 10-sided dice. If they roll a 2 through a 4, I throw the or 2 through 5, I throw the die away, it means nothing. If they roll a 6 through 9, it is a success, and adds to their success counter. Whenever they face a challenge, they will have to beat a certain level of successes. This is determined by how hard the action they are doing is, or it'll be directly challenging an opponent's number of successes, if they're into something like a challenge, where two people are going against each other. Now, you may notice I ignored a 1 and a 10. You see, when a 1 is rolled, it isn't just a normal failing die. It actively destroys one of the player's successes, reducing how good they did. While if they roll a 10, not only is it a success, but it gives them another bonus die to roll, which means that it can then roll another 10, which could then roll another 10, and this can result in them getting massive successes in their challenges. Now, in addition to that, you may have just heard me mention... Sorry, I stumbled on my words there a little bit. You may have heard me mention the word bonus die. There's special scenarios in which players can get other dice. One is known as the bonus die, and the other is known as the advantage die. When a player gets a bonus die, what that usually means is... or they can usually get that from either the superpowers the character holds, or situational things like rolling a d10. A bonus die is just another die like any other. Then there's advantage dice. Advantage dice have a small bit of uniqueness in that they cannot roll a crashing failure. Or they can't roll a dice break. Forgive me. I'm gonna stumble on my words a little bit. I've done several takes of this already. They're gonna roll... a dice break is what it's called when they roll a 1. So, if you roll a 1 on an advantage die, it doesn't destroy another success, it's just a normal failure and is thrown away like the other failing dice. Meanwhile, there's another way players can get dice on top of that. Periodically throughout the campaign, you will hear me tell the players, get a hero point. Get a hero point for this, get a hero point for being funny, get a hero point for making artwork, get a hero point for purposefully losing a roll. Hero points are a reward given to the players for being good players, and can directly be spent on a number of actions such as getting extra dice, getting rid of disadvantages, and and even editing the scene. I'm not going to go over everything it can be used for, that's gone over in the rules below. And you'll hear a lot of what it can be used for during gameplay. And I may have just mentioned something else, another new phrase. Disadvantage. Just as players can get an advantage, they can get a disadvantage. Disadvantages are usually the result of outside things giving the players a tough time. Maybe their hands are tied together, maybe they got sand in their eyes. Either way, a disadvantage is the equivalent of having rolled a 1. A disadvantage automatically destroys one of the player's successes. Now that we've gone over the basics of rolling dice, I'm going to show you this. This is the challenge bar. This is a bar that will show up whenever the players are in a direct conflict with another person. Whenever they roll successes or failures, what will happen is, like, let's say the player gets 3 successes. The bar will move 3 points in their favor. But then if the enemy gets 3 successes, the bar will go 3 points in their favor. Back and forth, and the winner of the fight is whoever can fill the bar up in their color. Now there's 2 rules to stop somebody from getting just a clean sweep from one super good roll. The first is the 5-point rule. You can never advance more than 5 points. If the player got 6 successes, or it's 7 or 20, it would only go forward 5, but then the opponent would be given a disadvantage on their next attack, or maybe even more, due to the player doing so good. Maybe they punched them so hard they knocked the wind out of the enemies, or maybe their light attack blinded the enemy, leaving them stunned for a moment and making them mess up their next action. The other rule is the last stand rule. Let's say again the player rolled 5 successes. You think that would win it for them, but instead it only fill in 4 points and leaves a last point standing. This applies to both heroes and villains alike, to give them a final chance to win the fight. Now, sometimes a fight can end before the meter goes one way or the other due to the players being particularly clever in their actions, and you'll see this happen a few times throughout the series. Now, there are more rules than what I just stated, but I'm not going to go over every single one of them. You can find them in the rulebook down below where they'll become apparent as you watch. Now, if you've gone down below, you may have seen something else. A huge number of playlists. These playlists all mark the beginning of every individual hero's journey. You see, there is one Master Hero Infinite playlist. This Master playlist arranges all of the videos in the Hero Infinite series in an ideal viewing order. But if you don't want to deal with that and you just want to watch one player's journey from beginning to end, every individual hero has a playlist dedicated to them. Only like the time-traveling comedic shenanigans of Bend Over? Watch their playlist. Only like the gritty, serious monster hunting of Lawson, the Last Gunslinger? Click that playlist. Only like the anime referencing comedic action of Zed? Click on that playlist. Only want to see the classic Silver Age style superhero shenanigans of the Moth? Click that playlist. Every hero is gone for a different tone and of style. Some are more serious, some are more comedic. Some deal with magic, some science, some just flat out classic superhero action. Try out every hero's playlist. Get a feel for the universe, figure out what heroes you like. Or watch the entire series front to back in the ideal viewing order presented in the playlist. Again, that's ideal viewing order, not necessarily upload order. Sometimes things will get inserted into the middle of that playlist, because they're better to be viewed before other things that had already gone up. Additionally, in these playlists, you will notice that there is music. I allowed the players to select themes for their heroes. So, before every single episode will be that hero's theme. But sometimes it'll be a theme for the week, a theme of that villain that they're going to be facing, or a theme matching the tone of what's about to occur. It's not always the theme of that hero. And some videos won't have a theme before them just because the player hasn't given me a theme song, and I don't have a particularly good theme song for that villain. But I thought they were a good addition to help set the mood for things. But I've spoken enough. Enjoy viewing Hero Infinite. Ta-ta!